A blank canvas. It can be exciting and it can be daunting. How do you turn something so empty into something meaningful? You could try going online and getting inspired, but in my case, that just makes things worse. Easily getting sucked in for hours on end. So, how do I avoid this? Well, let's take it back to a time way before the internet. I have an idea. National Geographic, one of the most popular photojournalism magazines of all time. I found a whole stack of these at the thrift store a while back for super cheap and grabbed a whole bunch.
Your total comes to $2.18.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, I'm gonna flip through these magazines and find some cool stuff to be inspired by to make a painting out of. I'm looking for anything that tickles my fancy. An interesting color palette, cool looking animal, ancient relics, a wardrobe, a pattern, some scenery, anything that sparks an inspiration. There was a lot to look through, but I was finding some real gems. And some were quite frankly stunning. Once I had all my clippings, I spread them all out to see what we got. And now, I gotta make something out of this mess. I split them up into different categories so I could easily pick and choose what I wanted to draw and pull inspiration from. So here we got some really cool scenery that I found. Animal shots or people interacting with animals. Here's some really cool animals, the leopard, the ape. This is just absolutely incredible. I'm thinking about doing like a green, red, and yellow color palette. It's just so beautiful. Here we got some interesting jewelry, pharaohs and stuff like that. And then here's like a whole pile of characters I can choose from and be inspired by. So let's get to work. Building a painting or an illustration is usually a fun process. Getting out all your brainstorming in one page and a series of thumbnails to really stretch your imagination. I started by doing some similar compositions to some of my previous paintings, naturally. I had to go through several thumbs. The amount of different canvas ideas spawned from this exercise alone was amazing, and it seemed to really fill my brain with interesting concepts and compositions. I noticed that I picked things from the magazines that interest me, and then filtering that down into a composition that I would want to paint. It was fun and a cool exercise. Okay, I think I finished the sketch here. I'm happy with how the composition is filling out here. It took a while to figure that out, but I really wanted to get something really eye-catching and dimensional and story-driven. So let me show you what pieces I took from here to create some inspiration for this piece right here. So out of all these thumbnails, I ended up choosing this one right here. I really liked the power dynamic of this piece right here. I thought it was really cool. I really liked this guy here as a main character here. I thought he had a lot of history and personality and struggle right here. I thought we could set him off on an adventure here. And obviously I was super inspired by this close-up of this bird eye with the feathers. Combine that with the cheetah eye to give something cool over here to continue the painting upward. And I really loved this tall Egyptian sculpture right here. And combine that with these ladies here and this other statue here with the chains and everything. As this kind of deity holding up this other piece here, which I was inspired by. And I love this elk with the big antlers. I thought I could give her some antlers too as well. Give it kind of like a fantasy element. And then to top it off, I really love these Egyptian pharaoh statues here. I was going to do two of them, but I didn't want everything to be super symmetrical. So I decided to go for one and then combine it with this in the hair to top it all off. Give it like a setting. And all that combined creates for this really busy but interesting composition here. Now I'm going to do a quick color study and figure out how I'm going to paint this thing. I've always really liked this 2x4 foot canvas shape. It creates some interesting dynamics in your composition. And I use this magical bird eye as an inspiration for my color palette. I don't usually paint with a lot of green, so I decided to give it a shot this time. And I'm gonna add a little bit of green to every color to make it all harmonized together. I like using these bucket paints to mix cups full of colors. Sometimes I really can't stand squeezing paint out of a tube and mixing it on a palette. This is just so much easier for my brain to handle. and it makes the act of painting a little more fun for me. I'm gonna paint over this old unfinished canvas and give myself a nice deep red base to start. And now, with my paint ready, my canvas set, and my idea in place, all I had to do was grab the brush and let it rip. The first day is just drawing in the big elements and getting those in place, and getting acquainted with the canvas and where everything needs to go. And just filling in big blocks of color to get the vibe of the whole painting and figure out where it's going next.
Follow me to make believe and make your dreams come true. This night means forever.
So earlier today I decided to get a little bit more of a better reference for my woman character here. And so I built this whole thing in Photoshop through a bunch of different photos, took photos of myself, got some different stuff online, mashed it all together, and then I can kind of flare it up a bit as I'm painting, but especially with the wrinkles and folds and everything, will make it look really nice. So let's do it. I've always had a harder time with canvas work. I enjoy doing it when I have a solid idea or a commission, I'm getting paid for it. But I've struggled to just be a studio artist and sit down to make paintings just because. I spent so much time developing my work on the streets that it became my comfort zone, painting outside on a wall. I thrived in project-based ideas and workflows. Painting a mural was like a giant illustration. You go to the site to make something special, and the fact that it was big and on a wall already gave it merit by itself. It kind of served a purpose already just by being in the environment. And I had the pressure to finish just based on the fact that I was out in the open and had to keep going until it was done. And then I could just pack up and leave it behind. But a canvas needs to stand on its own legs, to say its own thing without any merit attached to it yet. And that is the tricky part. I noticed this face was a little too small, so just had to redo it. It is a little painful, but usually when you paint it the second time, it's even better, so. And you know, it's just paint. You can paint over it and make it better. The last canvas I did, all the colors were separated. I didn't mix any of the colors, they were all layered up one at a time. But for this one, I did start to mix them a little bit on the canvas, just to give a little bit more shift in values and color temperatures, and create some dimension and space in this piece. And for a guy who likes painting outside, painting a canvas for days on end in a cold and dark garage can weigh on you a little bit. As artists, we can tend to be super critical of ourselves, especially during the middle of a project. And that can weigh you down. It's important to feel like you're in control. So last year when I started to feel out of control, I reached out for professional help from a therapist at BetterHelp, which is a sponsor of this video. When I went through therapy, my therapist helped me realize what I already have going for me and to separate myself from that harsh critic and see it as a separate entity from myself. She taught me to write it out. Just let everything out and visualize it and realize that this inner critic is a separate part of me and not the real me. And then go to the opposite part of me who has good reasons for doing what I'm choosing to do and let that part of me speak just as freely. The goal is to allow all parts of yourself to be heard so you can relate to them instead of being overtaken by them. And this was just one of the many tricky life lessons that I was given over the phone by my therapist at BetterHelp. They have over 25,000 licensed therapists to help you with any issues you are facing. Working on your mind is just as important as your body or your career. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences, and BetterHelp matches you with a few different therapists you can choose from. It's way easier, it's faster, it's on your schedule, and it's cheaper than traditional in-office therapy. And it might take a few tries to find the right therapist, so feel free to switch around until you find something comfortable. So if this sounds right up your alley, click the link in my description to get 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will guide you down the right path. And thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Let's keep going on this canvas. Okay, time to work on these really super slick feather eyes. I noticed I would have to work backwards, painting the bottom layers first, working my way towards the center. I wasn't going for a one-to-one replication, more of just like an inspired look and to create my own feathered eyeballs here. And once I had the look for the first one, I just had to flip it and do it again. I haven't spent much time in the gallery or fine art space, as I think it's kind of political or cliquey or whatever and confusing world to dive into. But there's some artists who I just admire so much with the works that they create and exhibit. And there's a part of me that just wants to create real art, whatever that means. I had a solo show back in 2019 at a t-shirt and gallery space in LA. Looking back at some of those paintings, I think I was a little premature and not ready for it. But I pushed myself because I wanted to try. I didn't have a studio space back then like I do now. I had to paint them all sorts of different places to try and finish them. I have completely turned my apartment into a new art studio. It's gonna be canvas number 6. I only sold one painting, but I was super proud of the show I made anyways. I think if I tried a different gallery or tried again, it would be interesting to see what comes out of it. It's not a lot of money you make at the start, but it does feel good to exhibit a body of work that you can be proud of. Here's a quick tip for doing any kind of appendage. If you're doing like an arm or a horn or an antler, start from the outside and work your way inwards. That way you just gotta connect the dots. And I wanted them to feel organically coming from her head, so I added a yellow fade into that red to make it more natural. As I was finishing up this first antler, I had a memory of painting in Texas and staying at this ranch with tons of different animals.
He only got one antler. That's wild. Oh, damn. My scary face got him.
I wanted to add that broken antler into my painting, not only to break up the symmetry, but to show a bit of history and struggle, and to create a little mystery around this character and what they've been through. You ever follow an artist you really like for a long time and you can totally see their progression and track their shift in style and sensibilities? I always find it interesting. At least the artists I follow start out with really wild concepts, really unique characters and styles, and as they progress, their style shifts towards more abstraction, more childlike, more simplified, and almost like glorified studies of color and rhythm. Even Picasso, who is probably the most extreme example. It's like you go through this shift in perspective, and your work becomes more deconstructed and raw, which I think is kind of cool. But for me, with this piece, I found myself getting tighter than usual, and my brushstrokes and paint marks were more refined. I like to get a little spontaneous and flowy with my paintings and keep it at least a little loose. But sometimes I'll look back at these works and feel like they have a little bit of a amateurishness to them. And I feel there is a line between this amateurishness and real confident looseness that you can tell is professional and practiced. It's hard to explain, but it takes a lot of work and confidence to get to that desired level. Okay, it's getting there. I gotta give it a break. I'm gonna come down to this little cowboy main character guy on the bottom here and do that. I'm kind of excited about this, so let's do it. I'm channeling a bit of J.C. Leyendecker here, and also keeping the cowboy a bit mysterious. Okay, so after looking at this for a bit, I figured I needed to add some extra little bits here. There's some space here that's kind of empty, so I'm going to add some more textural stuff to this guy in the middle here to give it some more extra flair on top. And then just a couple more details and we're on our way, so let's do it. After some final touches and splatter effects, it was finally finished. Okay, before we dive into the final reveal, I just want to give an update on the merch shop here. We have some brand new prints in stock that I just made. They're super cool, based on some of my recent mural paintings, as well as some previous canvases and t-shirt designs that I've made. All prints are signed and shipped by me here in-house. And we have 3 brand new sticker packs right here. I have an updated Kiptoe sticker pack. I have this cool Warriors sticker pack based on some character drawings. And I have this badass Gods sticker pack. So make sure to scoop those up if you're interested. And finally, I have a handful of custom spray cans left in stock here, and they are on sale. So if you want to pick one up, now is the perfect time to do that. Super cool souvenirs from me to you, so check it out. And now, the final reveal. Let's see the full painting in action. A lonely cowboy treks across this barren landscape, taking his first steps to a new adventure. He's lost everything. His friends, family, his passion. The only thing that's a constant is the dust that blows between his steed's weary legs. But he has faith that this new adventure will guide him down a meaningful path. The goddess of time and light, who lifts the sun into the sky every morning, gazes down upon the traveling cowboy. She shakes off the chains that has held down this guiding light, breaking through another mysterious night of cold, windy darkness. As he traverses further down the path, a new city peeks over the horizon. Could this be his new beginning? But before he can gather his excitement, he senses the familiar gaze of a powerful force coming from within. He's been through this before, and he knows what it's trying to do. The fear of the unknown seeps into his conscious mind, blurring the line between his own reality and fantasy. Do these formidable visions stand to intimidate him into retreat? Or can he muster the courage to push through and face them head on, carving a new path for himself and his own future? I'll let you decide. Well, there we go, another one in the books. I'm super pumped about this, and I want to make this a series. I want to do like a 3-part trilogy with this kind of subject matter, and like I have so many other cool thumbnails I want to turn into paintings, so look out for the other 2 parts for this series. Make a little triptych for a cool painting series, and we're going to keep the train rolling. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.